this claim a lot from William Lane Craig, a lot of Christian apologists. I've had debates with this myself. And it's this question of, how can you be sure that your thinking faculties are correct? The idea in empiricism requires circular reasoning, that, you have to assume a lot of things. You have to assume that your senses are true, to trust your senses to tell you the truth about the world around us. And theists will attack this over and over and say that we have no basis, and therefore empiricism and science is faulty because it requires these things that are circular. But what I'm really curious about is, what exactly do the theists have that's any better? What is there about their method that they have or use that is in any way more reliable or even reliable? We talk about the self-authenticating Holy Spirit, that they have a God that tells them that things are correct, and that their ideas and thoughts are correct, and that their senses are true. The problem is, if there's something wrong with their brain, or if they're incorrect and wrong, and they're misunderstanding or misinterpreting things, then no, we don't have this. They're just assuming that they have this. They're assuming that their idea of God is correct, and that their intuition, that their feelings and whatnot are from God and are correct. But this is faulty. It starts with a very faulty premise. Theirs is not really any better. And it also relies far too much on things that can't be tested, personal feelings and whatnot. Supposedly hearing what God has said, yet you get 100 theists of the same religion together, and they're not going to agree on everything, especially what God says. There's certain assumptions that I have to make as an atheist. I have to make an assumption that the world, as I perceive it, is tentatively correct. I admit that I could be hallucinating. I admit that I could be a brain jar. But without reason to think that, why would we assume that? It makes a good thought experiment, but that's not going to get us anywhere in life. We have to, do the best as we can, assume that what we see is correct. But science then does our best to test things. I can test something. Somebody else can test the same thing. We can get results together. If there's something wrong between our results, we look to see if there's something wrong with us, or something wrong with the experiment, or some outside factor. But what does a religious person have to do this? If God tells one Christian something, and tells a different Christian something completely different, what exactly do they have to know who's correct? I guess some would say the Bible, but that doesn't mean anything. Because somebody that knows the Bible can pretend or fake something. Pretend that God's telling him something if it's within the Bible. But he's no more correct about God telling him something than the other person. And maybe even worse, because the guy that's following the Bible is making stuff up and lying about it. And what are you going to do to test? How do you test this? Do you ask God to tell you if he's correct? Well, what if you're mistaken? And what if half the people that ask God say that this charlatan's correct, and the other half have God tell him he's not correct? So what do you guys use to base any of these things on? Science as repeatable, testable things. Yes, we have to make some assumptions, but so do you. And what you do once you make those assumptions has no verification process. You have nowhere way to verify or test if something is correct. Even if you test it against the Bible, creationists will come up with ideas and test against the Bible. They're incorrect. So what do you guys use? How can you be sure without using some sort of method similar to what science does? This very science that you say isn't reliable. I don't know. Comment below, let me know your thoughts. I'm curious what you guys would use.